Hello, my name is Georgevich, and the story I'm about to tell is no joke. I've been a witness to many paranormal activities recently, and since then, I have not stayed the same. This is the story of me confronting some of the biggest horrors a man nowadays can face. I am a junior game developer at Wargaming Corp, currently working on the Cold War project, the latest installment that is a mixture of realistic war-based tank games and hero-based shooters. Recently, the alpha version of the game has been released to the public, offering players to test out the game in the meantime until we release the final stable version of the game sometime in the near future. We are hoping to achieve a huge response in numbers from the gamers, as it will result in many feedbacks and opinions which can help us improve the game, all for the goal of delivering the ultimate experience in Cold War. I myself am responsible for working on the game's engine and its optimizations, as I've finished the internship course at Wargaming Forge, and have completed Igor Tartaglia's course of computer graphics at the School of Electrical Engineering, here in Belgrade University. That old geezer went straight to pension after my bachelor's thesis, as it consisted of pure divine intellect and niggurlicious code and concepts, which left the man in utter shock and disbelief. As I am responsible for the engine, it is my duty to hear any problems people might have with the game's underlying physics and mechanics during the alpha test phase. Among a sea of messages in the thread regarding engine problems, I stumbled upon a post regarding an issue with a certain texture render on one of the maps. The post was made by a user named ChaosLily11037. This person had a profile picture of Burn Castle, one of my favorite characters from the Umineko series. The post regarded a certain render glitch on one of the lakes on a map called Minneapolis. The lake in question was the one that had a statue of George Floyd next to it, in honor of the most famous victims of white supremacy and police brutality. Apparently, below the statue, in place of a BLM chant engraved on the bottom of the statue, the engraved text instead made out, "I can't breathe, me." Chaos Lily pointed this out as it seemed rather unnatural for such a prosperous and BLM supportive company to put such a foul piece of text in one of the maps, which was correct thinking, as the map designers pointed out to me that no such text was put inside the map files, which pointed to a possible malice in the text rendering function for this specific engraved style of text. I couldn't comprehend my code being so racist and bigoted, especially in the context of George Floyd, to whom I bear my family name, so I decided to spend the following days searching for the cause of this error. Despite all the efforts of going through all of the revised versions of the code with my colleague Ficha and Steven, I was unsuccessful. Just as things were taking a turn for the worse for the Cold War project, I received an email during one of my nightly jogs, where I try to frighten people by shouting rape threats and pulling off faces similar to those of Bosin. The email was from Chaos Lily. She mentioned that she is a computer science student currently on an exchange program at Rice University, with a passion in game dev and computer graphics. She said that she would gladly assist me in trying to solve the problem once she came back to Serbia next week. During the week we spoke every day for hours, talking about all sorts of topics ranging from music to video games, where I also found out she was a huge fan of the Sonic franchise. Our bond was growing so fast that at some point, she sent me her nudes, and we started to gain a sexual and true connection. I thought to myself, finally, I don't have to browse balding subreddits and watch Wheat Waffles videos anymore. Things might be going back on track for me. The following week, she dropped her address where she was staying and told me to bring my laptop and a few cans of dark Montenegrin beer from Nikšić, as she prefers superior tasting drinks compared to most Serbian slop. With a backpack on my back and a pit stop at the local store, I was sprinting my way towards her address, all hyped up while listening to Gulnariu's music and shouting, "I believe." However, this is where the story begins to take a dark turn. Upon arriving in front of the front door, I could hear sound effects from League of Legends coming through her door. This struck me hard on so many levels at that moment, as I couldn't believe I could have bumped into a girl that also loves to play League. I was already with my thoughts somewhere in the distant future, a bright future, picturing her, my Umineko League Sonic wife. What ensued afterwards was breathtaking, jaw-dropping and depressing. A revelation that can only be described as pure brimstone. As I opened the unlocked door and took off my shoes, I entered the main living room of the apartment, and what I saw was my friend Milan Radic, playing with Jax on top lane and raging. I couldn't believe what happened. I got catfished by one of my friends. I started to nervously fall to the ground in disbelief, but at that moment Milan stood up from his chair and approached me with a serious face. He explained everything to me. This was his way of the black pill, to teach me a lesson. The code bug that happened within the game was placed by one of the Russian incel spies working at Wargaming, who was in debt to Milan for showing him the knowledge of the black pill and rating his looks during an ARAM game. As for the character of Lily Chaos, he came up with that as he knew all of my interests and how to bait me easily. As for the sent nudes, he explained that those were pictures of Kelev's trans son, who managed to hook on estrogen from an early age. With my mind shattered, Milan began to preach to me the ways of the Black Pill Bible, that I should have never believed that there exist women who read Umineko or let alone love the Sonic franchise. He also preached that I wasn't browsing enough on balding and looks rating subreddits, which lead to me distrusting the black pill. He realized that none of these messages were getting into my head due to the shock of the situation, so he had no choice but to call the 3 founding fathers of Black Pill. After performing a chant to summon the portal of Hyperborea, out of the portal came Saint Wheat Waffles, Saint Rehab Room, and of course, my personal family saint, George Floyd. I was in even more shock to see George Floyd have anything to do with these 2 black pillars, but then he explained. St. George was so disappointed in my actions and denial of the black pill, that setting up his statue to be compromised in the game was a message to me that something must have been going wrong elsewhere, and I failed to reflect on my actions. Milan was just a messenger, spreading out the word of the Black Pill trio of saints. George Floyd also elaborated that his death was not related to any white supremacy or police brutality, yet he was sentenced by Apostle Derek Chauvin to Hyperborea to get a personality surgery due to his negative canthal tilt. For my disobedience I was to be punished by the trio, but since I bear the name of George Floyd, he refrained himself from doing so. Wheat Waffles and Rehab Room decided my punishment unanimously, a slow and painful experience, to keep reminding me of the effects of black pill and to never forget it. They altered my Herzegovian genetics to having T50I similar to those of Slowden, and to achieve Norwood level 8 by the age of 30. In addition to this, I was to be stuck with Milan for the following year, in order to not lose control over myself and to continue the studies of Black Pill. In this new reformed age, we managed to create a new community called Black Pill Reformed, aimed to revolutionize society by our vision of what it should look like. As of writing this, I'm 23 years old and it's so over for me and my hairline. If you ever notice anything paranormal in your life, know that it is a sign of disobedience of some sort and that you should reflect on your recent actions and reform yourself. Don't be a free agent in life, Black Pill will set you free.